Okay guys, so I'm going to teach you how to create some lights in Maya here and how to manipulate them to kind of get the result that you want to get for your scene that you're making. So to kind of show you just the basics of the lights, I have a little sphere here, and then I'm going to show you how the lights work. So there's a couple different ways you can go about creating the lights. If you're working in the poly modeling tab, you can also go over here to rendering, and then these over here will be lights that you can create. You can also go to up here modeling, you can go down to rendering, and then this brings up some more, see, render, lighting, shading tabs. But how I know to create it is you go up here to create lights, and then these will be the lights that you use for the Maya software. I'll talk about Arnold, which is this tab over here, in a little bit of a second. But you go up here to lights, and then as you know, you have these little boxes to the right that you can click on to open up the options tab for each light. I'm going to talk about directional lights, point lights, spotlights, and area lights. Volume and ambient lights you can choose to learn on your own, or you may learn later. I'm just going to talk about the other four for now. So let's go ahead and create a directional light, and then just move it over here. So as I talked about the preview modes, which are the numbers 1 through 7 on the keyboard, 5 is where I am right now, which is just regular shaded, 6 would be textured, and 7 is lights. So what a directional light does is, no matter the size that you increase it or decrease it, or where you move it, it all depends on the direction. So whenever I rotate it like this, it'll change the direction of the light. So I like to use these lights whenever I'm creating some sort of overall light for the scene, sort of like a sunlight for the scene. So that is a directional light. Delete those. That's also right here. So create lights, then we'll do a point light. So a point light is a little bit smaller, and it's a little bit more of a concise light that you want to use for like maybe something that not like a sun, but maybe like a light source, like a light bulb or something. But you can see it's very small, very concise. Delete that one. The next one will be a spotlight. You can just create it right here, the spotlight. And how this one works, actually, let me bring back the point light. I want to see. So this one, so this one, the point light, if you make it bigger, smaller, doesn't affect it. If you rotate it, doesn't affect it. It protrudes light out of all angles, and it's the same intensity all the way around. So with a spotlight, it depends on where you move it, obviously. It'll be more constricted into that area wherever you move it, or if you move it farther away. If you rotate it up or down, and then the only thing it doesn't affect is if you make it bigger or smaller. Actually, yeah, they won't do that, I don't think. So yeah, that's how that one works. And then the last one is an area light. So this one, actually, let's just keep it this way. An area light increases whenever you scale it up. So the intensity of the light doesn't actually increase, but the span does, if that makes sense. So this one also depends on the direction. Wherever this little guy is going, that will be the direction of the light. But yeah. So then how you can adjust some of these is, let me go back to the, let's do a spotlight. I like how the spotlight works. So let's say you have this light here on the side of the sphere and you wanted it to be a little bit more intense, you increase the intensity and you can see the brightness kind of going up. You can also change the color to be like, if you want it to be green, or there's a whole bunch of other different settings in here you can play with. Cone angle, penumbra drop off, that affects, you can kind of see, yeah, the drop off will be kind of like a little bit of a gradient effect to it, or just like a hard line. If you want it to be a little bit more, what's the word? Like a gradient, like it's kind of eases into it. The penumbra angle kind of does the same thing. It increases the span of the light or decreases it. So that is the basics of the lights and how you can change the color, the intensity. So now the next thing I'm going to show you is what's called a render view. So it shows you how, this is just a preview. I think I've told you guys before, whenever you say you smooth something out or you see textures, or in this case lights, these are all just previews. These are not actually how they look whenever you have a finished product. So this is how it would look if you go up here to Arnold and you go to render. So you can kind of see the light is not, it's showing the perspective camera, but it's not showing it enough to actually see anything. So if we increase the intensity, you can kind of start to see it a little bit. If we increase it to like, say like 20, see it a little bit more. So yeah, spotlight. Let's see if you move it closer. So the cool thing about this is if you stop it, it'll stop. But this also renders in real time. So whenever you move the light, it affects it and it adjusts it accordingly. So to show you the different strengths of different lights, that was the spotlight. It's not super, super strong. You can make it stronger. You can make it like, 50 or 100 or whatever. Make it as strong as you want. But the one, like I said, for sunlight that I use is directional light, because directional light is super, super intense. See how much light that one gave it? It's a lot of light. It's pretty cool. So let's create like a little plane here. And we can just get a little bit bigger, kind of make it a little bit easier to see. So we have that, and then let's do sort of a spotlight. Also, I will say, if you are using this and it's doing it in real time, it's going to be a lot for your computers to handle. So I would do that very cautiously, because you don't want your computer to crash at all. So let's see if we can add some red to this. Yeah, just a little bit of red. Looks cool. Let's do like 50. And you can kind of adjust let's see if you adjust the penumbra angle, or let's do the drop off. Went way too much there. Let's do like 2. Yikes. Do 1. That looks nice. Let's do cone angle, make it a little bit wider. So you can kind of see what I'm saying. You can use these to create different things and different light sources within your scenes. I think for the next assignment for the room, I'm gonna have you have at least one different light source. So some sort of like sun, or ceiling light, or like a light bulb with like a lamp in your room, something to give it shadowing, So let's exit out of here. Also, you can add shadows with this, but that doesn't really do much. Um, yeah, I would just use the Arnold render view to kind of see how it's going to work, because without it, it's not going to have a really good idea of how your room actually looks. Um, but you can also go up here in Arnold. You can look at some other lights like the sky dome or the physical sky, things like that. You can play around with those. Um, but just worry about just these four lights for now: the directional, the point, the spot, and the area. All those can be um, pretty helpful. And also think about whenever you're creating lights, you don't have to use just one light source. Like if you're using directional light as like a sun, you can use area lights. Like say you have windows, you can use area lights in the windows to kind of create some more light in those windows, but try to make it look a little bit, realistic, as if the light is actually continuing with the sun from there. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff you can play around with lights, rendering. It's pretty awesome. This is just sort of a intro to show you guys what is out there with it. So hopefully it kind of makes a little bit of sense, but also make sure you have your autosave on, because with lights it can get pretty scary and can crash a lot. So make sure you have gone back with the autosave video to have that on, and good luck creating your lights.